everyone, my name is Josh and this is WHIMS Interesting Musings, and today I'm going to be talking about the episode The Last Weekend, which is the 6th and final episode of Series 8 of Inside number 9. And this episode follows Joe and Chazz, who are a couple who are celebrating 9 years of togetherness, of coupling, as Joe likes to refer to it. And there's also a bit of heartache and a bit of drama following this weekend up at this cabin that they're going to stay for a few days. Joe, played by Pemberton, is suffering from bowel cancer, and Chazz is basically going through the motions of what is he going to do when it eventually comes time to saying goodbye officially to Steve Pemberton's character Joe. And this episode was really brilliant because I found myself really falling in love with these two characters. The performances in this episode was fantastic, but the writing was absolutely on point. Both Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith really are great actors. And even though they're mostly known for comedy and dark comedy at that, they really do show that they can really hold. They've proven throughout the duration of this series that they alone can really create interesting drama and interesting, storytelling possibilities through just having two people in a room talk. And that really does create a lot of interesting, avenues for drama and interesting avenues for storytelling. We've seen that in Bonnie Clifton's dressing room. We've seen that in episodes like, Sardines, the very first episode of the series. So there's a lot of things going on here. And we hear that, Reese's character was a pop star. He had a big hit. He was in a boy band. And he had a big hit with Blue Jeans Baby, which is a very catchy song, by the way. When I first heard it, I found myself humming along to it or singing along to it when I was doing other, household tasks and chores and things like that. Like when I was doing my laundry, I was, hanging up my clothes and going, oh, Blue Jeans Baby, baby, as I was hanging up my clothes. So it really does kind of feel like, oh, it's that very catchy number that just really gets stuck in your head all the time. But it's a really fantastic episode. I love how they do the stages of grief through various items that are in the cabin that the various people own. Like, say, for example, the word depression is on a honey pot. And I really do like that because it is kind of at that point where you are going to fall into sort of like a regressive mindset where you are going to start to eat more sweets and more junk food-esque items to fill you up and make you feel full. And that kind of tends to happen with the grief where I like to call it the casual vacancy, where when you're grieving or when you're going through a certain sense of emptiness, you tend to fill up that empty void that tends to manifest inside of you, whether it's through your heart or through your head or wherever it happens to be. You tend to fill it with all sorts of different things. Sometimes people might fill it with material things like clothes, shoes, items, geek items like pop Funkos of your favourite TV characters or whatever, or different TV or film memorabilia. Some people might fill it with food or drink or drugs. And there's so many ways in which you can do it. And I love the fact that they symbolise depression as a honey pot. They symbolise bargaining as a Monopoly box. They do all sorts of different things. And I really do like that. And of course, the stages of grief are often shorthanded as DABDA. And DABDA stands for denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And to me, that's very interesting because at first you're thinking it's all about Chazz's character. Like, he's dealing with this fact that he's dating a man. He's been together with a man for 9 years who's much older than he is, slightly older than he is, and he had a very successful career. He was a very successful member of a boy band. He was a songwriter. He had a great success, but then he decided to give it all up just to be with this guy. And at first you think he's making the big sacrifices and he's the one who's having to go through the grieving process. But then as the story goes on, you begin to look at certain scenes. Like there's a scene where he's talking about, when I go on MySpace and I talk to the guys, they always have this attitude of, oh, you don't call us, we'll call you kind of thing. But then you realise that entire scene is basically a lie, because the big twist of this episode, spoiler alert, by the way, for those of you who haven't seen this episode, the actual ending of this episode is that this isn't a drama at all. This isn't a drama along the lines of something like Beaches or Still Magnolias, where it is basically a meditation on grief, life, aging, parenthood, or anything like that. It's basically a psychological thriller or a revenge thriller told from the point of view of someone who we don't really know is the main protagonist yet until it's revealed in those last few minutes. And it's brilliant. I absolutely found it absolutely, spellbinding. It floored me. This episode, how dare you, Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith, make me fall in love with these characters, but then immediately afterwards, when we get to the ending, I find myself hating them. Like, I absolutely hated both Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith's character. And the reason why I hated Pemberton's character was because even though, he was, doing something that I'm sure a lot of us would do if we're a parent, which is get revenge on the person who wronged our family, the way he goes about it, the fact that he had to pretend to be a gay man in order to get close to Chazz, that was one of those things where I actually found myself going, okay, I hate you, even though you probably are justified in having these these little having these little revenge schemes planned. I still think it's really horrible that he had to pretend to be something that he wasn't in order to do the things that he needed to do. And he even had the terminal illness storyline down to fine art. And I found myself thinking, how dare you pretend to be terminally ill? How dare you pretend to be a gay man in order to get your revenge? But that just goes to show how twisted he is. Like, he really was into it. And there are little bits of that twisted nature peppered in throughout the episode in Pemberton's performance. And he's an amazing actor. And of course, Shearsmith is amazing too. These two are incredible. In terms of a writing talent and an acting talent, they are incredible with what they do. They really show a lot of range in their performances, and there's a lot of things that they give in the script that really do add so much detail, like the comment about, don't call us, we'll call you on MySpace. That gives you so many layers, because when you watch it on repeat viewings, you realise that Chazz is a bit of an unreliable narrator, because honestly, when you hear the final reveal that he actually was responsible for the death of Pemberton's child, his daughter, who wanted to be a songwriter, and he says something really despicable, he does a Kanye West, and he says, well, this song's awful, you have no talent, you should go and kill yourself. That made me think, okay, screw you, Chazz. Like, I really hate you now. Like, how dare you say that to a child, effectively? This girl is a teenager, but she's a child. She's someone who, really looked up to him as a songwriter. And he literally just turned around to her and said, oh, your work's shit, you should go and kill yourself. That's awful. That really is awful. So I found myself hating him. He was like the Kanye West of Inside Number 9. Like, I found myself really hating him and really making me think, whatever he's planning on doing to you, it's not enough, because honestly, you deserve more. And it literally is. This episode feels like it went from looking like it's going to be like Inside Number 9's episode, sort of like their send-up of San Junipero, Black Mirror's San Junipero, to being kind of like a White Bear, an Inside Number 9 episode called White Bear, which basically, whenever I watch that episode, the main twist of the storyline of White Bear, Black Mirror's White Bear, is that it's basically about a woman who's harassed by a group of people with their phones out. And at first you think it's this big post-apocalyptic storyline, but then you realise it's basically a part of an exercise program to basically get people who have escaped justice and basically give them a taste of their own medicine and give them a little bit of taste and torture. And that, to me, is really quite sadistic. And whenever I watch that episode, I'm kind of going back and forth between saying, oh, this person really deserves this punishment that they're getting to really live through the same 24 hours of pain in a Groundhog Day type fashion. And then there's other times when I'm watching it and thinking to myself, no, she doesn't deserve this. Yes, she did a terrible thing by, being involved in the kidnapping and potential murder of a child, but at the same time, she didn't actually kill the child. She just stood there and watched. And to me, that is awful, because she's worse than the person who's doing the torment to that girl. But part of me just felt like she didn't deserve to be tortured in that way. And I kind of go back and forth on my viewing of that episode constantly. But that just goes to show what good writing Charlie Brooker was able to pull off there. But what I really like about this episode is you feel the same thing in the same episode. You go back and forth, you fall in love with the characters in the beginning, but then you end up hating these characters by the time the final reel happens. And you really do hate them. And it really is satisfying, but it really is quite tragic as well, because also Joe, it's not technically his last meal, but you do feel like his revenge on Chazz feels like a very kind of messed up love story in itself, because he's doing this for his daughter, who we find out that he's actually the one going through the grieving process. He's the one who's going through the grieving process in his own twisted way. And it's so brilliantly done. And I really do have to give a lot of credit to Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith in terms of making us feel this way. And I really do have to give a thumbs up to Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith. I do have to give a salute to them as well, because this will be the last time. Well, this won't be the last time, but there will be quite a big gap between Series 8 and Series 9. And I do have to say, I do hope that they do a podcast or some kind of commentary on the DVD about Inside Number 9 Series 8, because I really do feel like the podcast was something that I really did find I missed a lot this series. And I really do. Part of the charm of this series is seeing how Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith came up with these ideas and really kind of, made these episodes into what they are and what we love and what we, adore about this series. So I am going to miss the podcast, and I hope Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith bring back the podcast in between the hiatus that they've got between Series 8 and Series 9. And I am also going to feel very sad when Inside Number 9 eventually ends, because I do feel like they really have done a lot for me particularly, because if I hadn't done this, and I'm going to gush about my YouTube channel a little bit, when I first started this, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know whether I was just going to talk about the films that I like or TV shows that I like, or whether I just wanted to talk about storytelling. But I really wanted to commit to that, so I really wanted to find a show that I could talk about that really utilises storytelling in a very effective way. And I'm not just talking about, just basically creating emotionally harrowing stories, but stories that really do make you think and make you want to rewatch it multiple times, kind of like an art house piece. And I really wanted to really kind of have a show that would reflect that. So I found Inside Number 9, and I immediately fell in love. It was like love at first sight. And I was going to choose either Doctor Who or Harry Potter or something along those lines. Something that really, meant a lot to me growing up. But, since kind of, had a life of its own. But I decided not to. I decided Inside Number 9 because I feel like this was a great example of... It's an anthology series, first and foremost, so every episode is a new story, a new idea. But then, as I started to go deeper into it, I realised that I have amassed a great number of subscribers, a great number of people throughout the course of me doing this. And I currently have 36 subscribers. I didn't think I was going to get past 15. Like, seriously, I owe a lot. I owe a lot to you guys. All of my subscribers, those of you who are here for Inside Number 9, and those of you who are just here for the Reader's Corners, or my book reviews, or any of the film reviews that I do, any of the TV series reviews. I owe a lot to you guys, because I was actually really touched. I was literally in Letchworth at my parents' house, at my sister and my parents' house, and I was looking through my phone, and I saw that I had 36 subscribers. I was absolutely floored. I had no idea that this many people would want to hear what I had to say in regards to storytelling, or in regards to some of my favourite TV shows and films. Because I had no idea. Like, lots of people saying, you should go on YouTube, Josh. Like, you really do have a lot of insights into storytelling, and you have a lot to offer. And I actually found myself going, I don't know if I'm going to do this, or I don't know how I'm going to do this, because I don't know where to begin. But as the time has gone on, I am going to do more animation work. I want to create an avatar, and of course the avatar is basically the thumbnail for my entire channel, which is the wizard. I want to give him his proper introduction, who is effectively me, and kind of, have him, be the stand-in for just my face, because even though technically I do enjoy, just showing myself off to you guys, and, just showing my face and showing me speak and all those sorts of things, I feel like it's not going to be very good from a viewing standpoint. I'm more of the sort of YouTuber that you might want to listen to. But I am going to, start to draw animations. I'm going to create more interesting thumbnails rather than just my face and things like that. So I am going to start to, work more on other aspects. Like, I'm going to start drawing illustrations for these episode breakdowns, and all these other contents that I want to create. So I'm going to be doing that later on in the year. And I am going to be doing lots of other things. But I do really owe a lot to you guys, and I want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers, everyone, not just the Inside Number 9 crowd, but I want to give a big thank you to everyone who subscribed to my channel, because you guys are the reason why I do this. You guys are one of the reasons why I get up and I make videos and I write videos for you guys, because I really do feel like you guys giving me feedback and you guys basically saying that we like your videos, we really do think you give insightful storylines and very insightful, you know, insights into various different things. We want to say a great big thank you to you. I want to say a great big thank you to you guys, because without you guys, I wouldn't have even begun to have done this. And I really do owe a lot to you guys. So thank you very much for the attention that you give me. And I really do like the fact that you really do take time to you know, give your thoughts on various episodes or various different things I'm talking about. And I really just want to give a big thank you to you guys. So thank you very much for all your loyalty and all your, you know, feedback and all your encouragement. I really do owe a lot to you guys. So thank you very much. But yeah, I am really sad that this is going to be the last series, the last episode for a while. But I am also very excited, because I really do feel like Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith are literally on top of the world right now. They literally are in a very interesting place in terms of where they are in Inside Number 9. So I am looking forward to seeing what they do next, but I am also going to be very sad when Inside Number 9 ends, and I am going to be sad because this show has literally given me something to latch onto. This show has literally given me something to talk about on YouTube, and I really do find that very. I really do want to give a big thank you to Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith for giving me stuff to talk about with this show. So yeah, I owe a lot to them as well. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I do want to talk about. But yeah, that's my review for the last weekend. And let me know what your thoughts are of this episode down in the comments. Did you like it? Did you think it was a good episode? I think it's classic Inside Number 9 in the sense that it gives you this thesis of what do you think you're watching and what are you actually watching. And yeah, I think this is a good one overall. I think it's the best one. I think this entire series has been Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith at their most experimental. But I also think it's a really good way to end Series 8 overall. It's just been a very interesting journey overall. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments of what you thought of the last weekend. And I hope you're all having a very good day. Take care. Bye-bye for now. This has been Josh of WHIMS Inside Musings. Hope you're all having a very good day. Take care. Bye-bye for now.